Okay, sorry for the delay. We got a ton to cover and had to get some prep going. So I spent a lot of time yesterday on looking at the sniper setups, and we looked at this symbol ARE. And one of the things that we noticed yesterday in the sniper report was the thing had been smashed on the 150, 30, and 10-day look back, and it had an extraordinarily large 5-day Z-score and a large 1-day Z-score. And so we looked at that and we said, oh, well, of course, here's Alexandria Real Estate. Never heard of him before. But we could see from yesterday's report that, whoops, sorry about that. Here, this outer box is the 150-day look back, this purple box. And we saw that it was down. Yesterday it had closed down at the bottom. And on the 30-day it had closed near the bottom. And on the 10-day had closed near the bottom. Now, I want you to notice that this is where it closed yesterday, at that blue line, which I'm now going to make red. And we noticed yesterday that it was massively oversold on the 150-day, 30-day, and 10-day look back, that the blue box, which is the 5-day range, was very large. That the blue box was almost all of the 10-day box. So the 5-day range was large, and the 1-day range box was also very large. I'm going to make this quick adjustment. So yesterday, that range box looked like this. Yeah. So it was massively oversold. So we said, look, if that thing breaks below the 10-day, 30-day, the 1-day, 10-day, 30-day, 150-day low, this thing could be extraordinary. And so that's what it did today. It opened right. It had a little gap down, monkeyed around a little bit, and then just got smashed for 3.5%. So all of this was knowable and anticipated, and I'm going to show you that trade in a second. Here's what that looks like on the intraday. After an initial monkeying around, that thing just was down all day, and then in the general market sell-off, just got smashed. So that was the least surprising move of the day. So target selection, which is planning, and target preparation, having a operational plan of what to do if the market and the sector and the target behave in a certain way. That's preparation. And then execution is just doing it. So here's what that trade looks like today. All right, that's the close yesterday, and then that solid red line, the horizontal red line, is going to be the one that anything below that line is automatically having a short side bias. So I immediately try to go short with my 70-cent risk box. I immediately take a 0.7 loss because it rebounds inside the noise box. So much for planning and preparation. I guess that didn't work. You can't even make that decision until well after the day is over, right? So it sold off. It opened down here. I got short shortly thereafter, and then it started moving towards the upside. Hey, that could be a morning hook, so I just get out. I take about a 0.7 loss. Check or hold. That's what you're supposed to do. So then it immediately reverses. And when it breaks below that second bar low, I get short again, standard risk box. I get this kind of gains, and then I just couldn't get out of it soon enough and took a fractional win. I was giving it as much room as I possibly could. It sold off. I should be getting out right there at the blue dot if I'm just following my normal practice, but I was all excited about this one. So I take a fractional win. Miss the next one because I'm so upset about my poor form. Miss all that. Still can't get to the zero state. Missing all of that. Can't get to the zero state. Where should I be getting short? Hey, dummy, right there. What would we call the entry at the blue box or at the blue dot? That's a collapsing dragon all day. Couldn't do it. Could not get in the zero state. Now I don't feel so dumb. Well, at least it didn't lose that much. Now I'm finally doing what I'm supposed to do. What would we call that entry at the red dot? Another CD. Could be a kata 2. I would say it's probably kata 2 if I could have gotten it up in here, but that's the PSAR flip. It's so close to a CD, I will take either one of those. It immediately reverses against me, so I get to take a 0.5. Oops. So much for that idea. I'm supposed to have a neutral short side bias. This thing's supposed to be collapsing. It's not doing it. So I try another one. What would we call this one? Probably kata 2. Kata 2 CD. Take your pick. Finally. Finally doing what it's supposed to do. Second position, tight risk. Third position, now I've got 2R in hand on the first position, 1R in hand on the second position as I enter the third position. So that's 3R in hand when I'm putting on that third position. Pays for all this shenanigans. So what? Doesn't matter. I'm stupid all the time. And then it runs into the end of the day. So now I just say, well, you know what, dummy? On this first position, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, and some change. On this one, that is 1, 2, 3. So that's 7 plus 1 and 2, that's 9. That pays for a lot of sloppiness or just life. It does not matter. What did you think? It was going to be perfect? So that's 9R in ARE, just monkeying through it. Plan and pick targets that are more inclined to move large. Prepare strategies based on what the market and the sector and the symbol can do, execute, assess when it's time to assess, but not in the middle. No, absolutely not. I've never traded that thing before. I'm in a bare normal market. I don't want any overnight risk. I want to sleep. You know how many symbols there are like this every day? Dozens. Why am I going to take overnight risk? I don't have any edge in the overnight market. In a bare normal, none. Zero. Plan, prepare, execute, and assess. So Jack took a little break for most of this week to finish going through the foundations course where I gave him some intern access. Today was his first day trying out trading stocks. And it was a good day. First of all, eliminate adjectives from your language, like very good. There doesn't add any information. It was a good day, and that was with poor execution, missed most of the big moves and everything except Tesla. He learned to narrow his focus tomorrow to 3 or 4 charts, as today he was watching 11, and that's beyond his span of control. And he was getting cut out of the trades too soon. So maybe after no lose plus dinner for 2, we should give him a little more room to breathe, especially since he's on to 3 minutes, etc. So with that kind of a day, 8.8. That's a pretty good day of learning. So before I go through, I want to go straight to the daily. So we have been saying all week that this tension here has got to resolve one way or the other. It resolved today. It did that. The least surprising move. Now I notice the hump of the dragon got flat. The short-term momentum is down. We're now down 16.5% from the swing high. The PSAR got violated by price today, although the RL10 is still in the summer but dropping. Tomorrow, if you get another day like this, it violates the PSAR, and that will be instantly short if it breaks through the low of the day, instantly short. And then if it breaks below the belly of the dragon at 392, a second position, and if it breaks through the belly of the RL10, which is almost at the same location, a third position. So this thing is ready to collapse. It's a bare normal. It's what it does. Let's look at what the indexes did. And I've sorted this one a little bit backwards today, just to make a point about be aware of the market. So the S&P was down 2.38% today. The Russell was only down 2.3. Diamonds were down 1.9. And treasuries were up 0.3. Oh, look at the commodities and energy. Flat and a little bit better, the inflation guys. Here's the symbols that were better. Materials, energy, now a cluster of discretionary, Ethereum, staples, oil exploration, blended large cap crypto, the Aussie, oil, Bitcoin 0.48. The only things that were even positive today, agriculture flat, blended commodities 0.16, VIX 6%. Only targets, but Devon Energy 0.1% minus, Tesla down 0.9. That's really good news for Tesla, by the way. Really good news. It's still above 700. Microsoft was down 2%. Now let's look at the things that were worse than the market today. Hey, in terms of the sectors, the Qs were down 2.68 and emerging markets off 3%. So let's look at the sectors. Finance, real estate, and tech down 2.5%. Mexico, lumber, marijuana, wheat, and precious metals 3%. Clean energy 3.25%. Commercial real estate and lithium 3.7, 3.9. Biotech 4%, the FANGs 4%, the other lumber 4.5%, global future of finance 5.5, both of the ARCs 5.6 and 6, Brazil 6%, and now look at all of the things that we said yesterday that are in the zone and liable to be good traders today. U.S. Steel 6.7, Cliff 8.25, Alcoa 11%, Squarespace 9.6, Coinbase 7.8, Box 7.7. So do you notice that market selection, target selection really matters? The carryover from day to day in a bear normal? We should have been smashing these things today. I didn't, but should have been. So that's the context for the day. Now, notice what happens in the S&P. Just to make us sad, I'm going to go to, so I'm going to sort by inverse. Here's the daily move in Alcoa. You don't have to be that smart to get paid on Alcoa or Squarespace or Cliff. I mean, Jiminy Crickets. Cliff's R10 is 17 cents. Here's 17 cents. Roughly. There's your entry. Are you going to lose money on that trade? No, you will not. Second position on the collapsing dragon. Are you going to lose money on that one? No, you will not. Ordinary exit anywhere in this region? Fine. Standard re-entry. Not going to lose money on that trade. Not going to lose money on that trade. U.S. Steel, even better. Alcoa, even better. Squarespace. Holy. Here's what 17 cents on Squarespace looks like. You know how big that move is? With an entry here? Pick your exit. So your radar screen that's looking at the behavior of the herd for market and sectors and key targets should be aware of what's going on in terms of opportunities. You may be specializing in one symbol at a time, but you've also got to be watching the radar screen of what's going on. Now here's the S&P during the day. When this thing tanked right here, whoops, and then sold off hard all the way through here, the entire market got murdered. The entire market was murdered in that whole run. You know, from about there onward. During that entire market, everything in the market got slaughtered. 100% of things, except agriculture, blended commodities, Treasuries got well during that period of time, and VXX got really well, but everything else got murdered. So target selection, okay? All right, so here we go. So here was me starting this morning, sniper trades of the day. Big gap down in the Russell. SSC, standard work. By this time, I'm not going to lose money on that trade. If my execution stop was here, because that's the belly of the dragon, I'm only taking a 0.5 on that anyway. And now if it fails through the red line, what am I going to do? Yeah, and what would we call the... We'd call that a CD if it falls through that red line. A failed SSC is going to instantly become a CD. And I'm just going to make sure, right now I'd just move my stop to here. And now what is my mindset right now? I am totally in the zero state, completely balanced, just being alert in every direction. Because this is a science project now. Do not care. It would be nice, as a speculative scientist, if this thing gets above that blue line, then I think it's going to go up and close the gap. That's a hypothesis. So I could already, if I see that, I can just say, well, as a scientist, couldn't I plan on putting a second position in if it ever breaks above there? Yeah, I could. Am I going to monkey around with it much in here? Nope. Don't care. Just let it cook. It's only interesting if it goes through goes through that blue line, because then it's going to be a runaway or if it breaks below this red line for a CD. That's when it becomes interesting. So you could actually just put an alert on it and leave it alone. Leave it alone. Trail it with a full R if you want. Check or hold. Here's Cliff. There's a gap down. There's a standard risk box. What would we call that entry? CD. Science project. Don't care. I think I was on I was probably here because I was watching this. By the time it got to here is when I actively, intentionally did that. Brazil. Big gap down. Big gap down. That's like a giant red candle that has now found support. I just decided, you know what? That's about a 0.4. Brazil and Latin America were so strong. I don't care. Give it a try. I don't think it did anything. But that's just a hybrid. I don't know what that even is. That's not a sniper pattern. That's just morning hook 123 WMB3, something like that. So it actually is a sniper pattern. Oversold, uptick, candle breakout, WMB3. Tesla, aka the most important stock in the world. There's the $7 risk box, the $3.50 half risk box from the R10. This is on 5-minute chart. I'm front running. That's not even a pattern right there. On the 3-minute and the 1-minute it's a SSC, but that's what it looks like on the 5-minute. Don't lose money, or here. That feels like a Kata 2. So when I put that second position in, lock it in. Getting near the top of the stack on 2 positions, so I just put the blue box in there to check it out and decide to take it at the key price level of 760. So I was given it some wiggle room. The second position is already locked in. Now, and then what would we call that entry? Right there. Kata 2. It's not a CD until it breaks down below here. You could actually call that an SSC, right? Because it had the rocket ship move this way, and now it crosses, and that's taken out the PSAR, so that's actually an SSC. Somewhere in there you got to get to Science Project, at least by there. SSC. More on Tesla. Yeah, this is the one I wanted to show. So the left-hand chart is that Tesla trade I just showed you in the developmental state on 5-minute charts. Okay, this is what that early entry looked like on the 1-minute chart. So there was a clear on the 1-minute chart. There was this kind of a support level, belly of the dragon, and now that looks like an SSC. and then this holds, and then this certainly holds. So now this second entry up in here is looking like a Kata 2 or even an emerging dragon. When you map those over to the 5-minute chart, there's less going on, but that's the entry at 740. This little 1-bar reversal where it takes out the high and there's a higher low, and everything is on the north side of a rising dragon, and there's at least one manageable risk box to the bottom. That's the entry at 740. Here's what that looks like on the 1-minute chart. This sell-off is that sell-off. This little recovery up to 740 is this one. So fractal patterns. And now when it breaks out to a new high at 750, that's this one. After it monkeys around a while and then breaks out to a new high above 760 or 757, that's this entry. So when you're looking at different time frames, you can look a little deeper, and the fractal patterns are interpreted the same. Just you're making 5 times as many decisions over here as you are over here. Now, I happened to notice I was monkeying around at Yahoo Finance on Tesla, and this is on daily charts. All right, this is a 3-month look. And so be careful about just reading and believing what you see on standard charts. So it says, according to Yahoo Finance, so they got to be right, support is at 668.50, which was yesterday's low. Resistance was 729.77, which was yesterday's high. And they put a stop loss at 531. So they're saying, yeah, you could buy Tesla with a $200 stop loss. So that position is, 30 times smaller than what we're trading with intraday. So, I mean, the lens that you're using and what you're using for rules to determine support, resistance, stop losses, bias, directionality, and all that, you should be very careful about what you let into your visual cortex. Here's another one on Cliff. So that was our short. That was the stop loss we put in. I took the exit there. I took the re-entry right there. What would we call that one? Kata 2. I didn't like how everything was slowing down and pointing towards the upside. So I elected to get a fractional win on that one. Check or hold? More on Tesla? Not moron, it's just additional. So this was that first set of the SSC to the upside, then the sell-off with a cover in a standard way. So the normal exit, I gave it a little more room to run. So this is not the blue box is not a rule so much as it is a carpenter's guide. If I'm drawing all the charts that matter, or all the boxes that matter, I suppose, I should also have, I'm looking at this green box here on that, I've already locked in that much. So I'm willing, I know I'm not going to lose money on the second position. So in that sense, it's a science project. And it's Tesla, and it's had this really nice run up. And I got 2 positions in, and I'm not going to lose money. I'm willing to give it to the edge of the dragon. So I gave back probably 1R by letting, instead of getting out here, I elected to go to here. But the second position is still in the money, so I feel good on that. I waited to see it break through the PSARs, so I didn't get short instantly upon breaking through the dragon. I waited till it hit the PSAR. Then this thing sold off nicely all the way to here. At that point, anytime I get a big 1-bar move in my direction, I like putting that blue box on, which is half a wrist box, to start measuring by eye what it is, and I said, that's enough. So I'll take that green box, which is slightly less than 1R. It's about a 0.7. That's just routine, getting paid, ringing the bell, feed the dog. What would we call that re-entry? I'd probably call it a CD or a COTA 2. Take your pick. It's just a continuation re-entry. I think I'd call it a CD, because what I'm really doing is I'm noticing that it is breaking below this, and everything is back and normal. Take another little fraction. Don't think twice. It's all right. What would we call that entry? I kind of look at that as this. There was an upward impulse on that today. I look at this as a great big move up. And getting ready to start another move with a higher low. And I see this one as something like that. And as long as that looks like that, it has a measured low and a higher low. I really think of that as a COTA 2 now. But at the same time, I can see it as a SSC simply because it's had this enormous rundown on that big red line down. So that looks like a harsh sell-off, which is what we want for the SSC. So I will take either one of those as a correct answer. I still had a positive vibe on this because of the size of that first move, and that it was the best. It was the best symbol in the stack. So this is open for a little artistic interpretation. Nothing. That's a stop and reverse, which also earned nothing. So that's 2 nothings in a row. It was a long that micro loss and a short micro loss. Swing and a miss. Open the lottery ticket, there's nothing in it. Open the oyster, there's nothing in it. What would you call that entry? Yeah, I see that one also as a cotta 2 to the downside, but also I could see that as a excuse me, as a CD below this. So again, this is one of those where I'm happy to see that as a CD or a cotta 2. As long as you feel the downward pressure in a bear normal, if you're going short, you're okay. So I would accept, I think, CD or cotta 2 on that one. Now this one is kind of fun. So I'm framing this trade out, and I've got my little R10, which for this particular symbol was 43 cents. So R10 means, so each one of these blocks, you can see I've calibrated to about 43 cents. So the full range stat move means that if this thing opens right here, it can move 10 of those boxes on a range stat, and it's a normal move. It is not an abnormal move yet. Let me put it that way. Okay? Do you see that distinction? Do you get a sense for the scope? All right, so at this point, I would call that one an SSC. It has had, you can't see because I carefully hid this, but there is a harsh move down, finds a support, and then makes a reversal, and then takes out, you can see the little PSAR takeout right there. So that makes this an SSC. Now, if my entry is right here, and this is approximately the low of the day, remember, this thing can go that high, and it's not an abnormal move yet. That's the size and the scope of those moves. So when we see in the coaching session today, when guys are saying, I felt like price had collapsed as far as it could, unless you have hung a range stat onto the chart, you can't say that, because you are going to be surprised by price action about what it can really do when it starts to really go. So you have to put the stats on there to check against your intuition. So standard exit, it just didn't work. This one got as far out of it got out of the blue box and then rolled over, and I ended up taking the scratch, got a bad fill. It then did not fail further, so I just routinely re-entered with the standard risk box on it again. So the dragon is up. Price didn't even come out of the dragon. So I get my entry here. There's my standard risk box. Standard work. I will call that a cotta 2. Wise old owl that he is. If you had the full RLCO framework on there, where that reentry occurs is you would see it meets all the owl criteria because the RL30 and the dragon are up. Everything is good. At the yellow dot, I'm thinking about maybe there's, because that now becomes emerging dragon condition. It's now breaking out to a new high of the day. That's good. We like that. It starts rolling over, and I just take the standard exit on one position. That's about 1.5 R. So that's about 1.5 R. All that is just standard work, standard grinding the grain down at the mill, driven by water power. The mill doesn't move. The peasants bring the grain when it's time. They put it in there. The river turns the water wheel, which turns the millstone, and it grounds it into grain, and the people shall thrive. So you got to know how to grind. That's what grinding looks like. Yeah, this blue line was an emerging dragon. That was the previous hump of the dragon. And so that one is like confirmation this thing is working. So when it breaks above that level, that's how you get that second leg up, which is about the same size as the first leg up. But then it doesn't really do much. And so it moves back that much. So I'm going to lock in 1.5, and I'm just going to call that grinding. I'm just grinding, that's all. Don't lose money. IWM. So now we're in the afternoon. So here's noon. PSAR has flipped. Monkeys around. No, what would we call that entry? You can see his tail wagging, so you should know what this is. That's my favorite maybe of all time. That's a combination of a cotta 2, lower highs, and a CD breakdown of the dragon. I mean, take your pick. What's not to love? Now, when this breaks out of the blue box is when I drop my stop to that red line. So I've locked in my science project. And I'm not going, and then when it gives me one more run down to here and then starts rolling over, I bring the stop down to here. Standard work. Grinding. That was this guy. Okay. So we're back on IWM. This is that same grind. Whoop. Sorry. Sensitive mouse. So that was that entry. Now, after that last one where I showed you we moved the stop down, it collapsed further, so that's another CD. And now I lock, at this point, price had moved down, and the price was down in here at this level. And I said, you know what, we're getting close to the afternoon being over, so I just lock in the extra move there. Afternoon. This is when the S&P and everything started collapsing in that last hour and a half. And everything that's associated with the S&P gets smoked. Here's Tesla, and there's the 12 o'clock. Here's all your support. It's already had this. Collapsing dragon. Second position, collapsing dragon. Third position, tighten up the stop. Big bunches of gains in the afternoon. Walks up the steps, jumps out the window. The downward moves, the collapsing dragons of the world are your favorites. Sorry, that should read CD. If you use Snagit and you got standard markups, save the file as a stamp and make your stamps over here so you can quickly annotate your stuff. Simplify your life. So, lots of good lessons in there today. Daily report. Bearish normal. Look how quickly all of that goodwill just got slaughtered. One day. Alcoa, Tesla, Brazil in the max pains. Energy, diamonds, energy. Intel, that's, you got to be ready to smash Intel tomorrow. Big collapse on, it made a new 10-day low, 1-month low, 3-month low, 6-month low. Yeah, that's just horrible. Just as bad as it can be. An American semiconductor company that cannot make a profit. Good God. Once they get out of the chip making business. Andy Grove is just rolling over. No dojis today. Disney, a 5DD. That's an easy one to believe in on the downside. Yeah. And this has got two ways to fail. The first one is if it fails just down to the 150-day low, down to 100, that's a 3.5% move. And then if it fails below that, that's also a 30-day low and a 150-day low. And then it's really look out below. And now it could come all the way back. Look at this. It could come all the way back to COVID land to 90. So all of that joy after the post-COVID, hey, we're back. Not so much. So that's the pain and suffering in Disney. A 5DD in Walmart. Yikes. Gotta go respect that. Ooh. Also dangerous. Wow. How the mighty have fallen. You gotta respect those turning points in the RL10 and the crossing of the dragon. And now the target is going to be down here. Yep, about 118. Very few things working. Oh, but oil exploration is. And energy. But we knew that. A handful of auto framers. And not much else to believe in. This may be the time for that recovery in treasuries. These auto framers that are in the green, these are also the ones that should break down large if they don't recover, because they have fallen so far. So Brazil, Intel, yeah, Intel, we know that already. Cliff, it was down huge today. Disney's in there. Tesla still was kind of it was not a collapse today. It was only down 0.89% when the market got slaughtered. So there's residual strength in Tesla. So that still is very active as a trader. And here's his range stat again, $70. So his R10 is 7 or 8 if you round it up. A lot more Godzillas today because of that renewed selling pressure. There's our old pal Regeneron. That ARE is still in there. Look at that rascal. 000 a 5-day z-score of 1.38 and a 1-day z-score of 1.7. Hey, what's even worse, though, is peak. I don't know what that is, but we're going to go. Don't we want to go see what that looks like? I know I do. Whew. Yeah. Should you have any hesitation to shorten that thing if it gets smashed tomorrow? Health peak? Golly. And that was in the same condition yesterday, and today that's going to look just like ARE. If you're paying attention, this is what that move looks like. And peak has a 12-cent R10. Here's what 12 cents looks like. Once this thing starts collapsing, that's your risk box. Even if you aren't superb in here, when that whole market starts selling off, wow. And look how that closed poorly. Do you think there's anybody on the planet that believes in that company? Oof. Wow. They're not long for this world. The vultures are circling. There's Intel. We've already seen Intel. Simon Property Group. Yeah. Inside our tactical symbols, the Godzillas abound. Lumber. Commercial and residential real estate. And then otherwise, a ton of the cryptos all getting slaughtered. Devon Energy is microwave popcorn getting ready to pop. It's at -1 on the 1-day z-score and -1.78. We've been studying him. Still just, now he's in doji status. Quietly, just holding on. Ready to pop. Watch him. Lots of fence sitters. I'm not going to spend too much time there. You know how to read the chart. The most quiets and the most volatiles. That's Devon. Wow. 5th most quiet in the S&P. Yeah, I don't want to drone on here. I feel like I'm wasting your time. All right, so Tim, I think you are concentrating too hard on the ball. So you're like a soccer player that has learned a lot, and now you want to improve by over concentrating on the ball. So what I want you to do is trust your feet. I want you to spend time working through Luke's 5-minute Aussie and feel the flow of his patterns and the way he's working the wood and the clay. I think you are being too active and too conscious and too controlling and trying to be too perfect. And so I want you just to relax and watch what some of the other artists are doing, to just loosen up a little bit, let a little air into the studio, and relax a little more and become more disinterested, if I can say it that way. A little more relaxed and long-term confident and a little more trusting. That's what I think. You cannot hide your performance in caps tells me you're really gripping too tight. And the horse can feel that. You got to have relaxed hands. Fighting my way back. You're going to be fine. Let's see what Jack is doing here. Gaps up, starts selling off, gets the CD, gets paid, gets the reversal. That's the same trade I took. Got paid. I think your re-entry could be here, although I understand this one. That's a really nice CD and a nice CD. So you got 3 chunks on that one. Good, 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 good. Here's one. There's nothing wrong with any of this. Except I think you're getting a little too hands-on. But you're capturing what's there. This is a great stop and reverse, and then we got to get this, and you're probably mentally tired and miss the equally large move. So that's like 9R. Can live with that. Here's the U.S. Steel. Yeah, you're not giving it room to breathe. Still getting paid to learn. This rollover rejected at the edge of the dragon, so short. Really good capture. It rolls over. He tries for this one, takes a quick loss. This is where you got to get that, though. Now that it rejects and comes to here, so I got to be short here. Or at this, I got to be short there. Then you'll get paid. Here's a long side SSC. That's like a Kata 2. I got to get short here. That's an SSC, or a Kata 2 to the downside. I got to get short here. PSR flip. That's where my second position is. When that tiny little blip and immediately fails, that's where that second position goes on. That's what you look for. We talked about that last night too. You will recall I tried that little quick EWZ. That thing sold off, and then I didn't get this SSC. That's a good shot. Stayed out of the chop. There's your Z3 pinch. Collapse. CD, CD, Oh, yeah, same trade. Sorry. Luke? Tight Z3s. Plays the breakout. Fake one. Go to. And it didn't even go to. So he got paid what was there. Got the re-entry. Took what was there. Got the re-entry. Took what was there. Got the SSC and the second position. Got it. Was able to mind shift and get on the short side. Get on the long side. Probably stuck around a little too long, but it's only minus 0.3. A little slow on the re-entry, especially when this is now caught a 2 territory. So maybe that's the only inefficiency I'm really seeing so far. You didn't let it go negative. You tightened up and got long quickly. I don't mind not taking that one. We're late in the day, and we haven't cleared that hump yet. And this way, you're a little better postured to take the gift. Good scratch, and then you got mentally tired and missed all that. So we'll take 8 for that. That's a B+ day. Almost an A-. Well done. Now, Tim, that's where you got to see and feel his transitions here are really good. Like here's one, and then he got the continuation, so he gets right back on. Here's one where he's able to reverse because he sees the dragon reverse. Notice the difference. Here, the dragon is just dropping. So when it rolls over, it's easy because the whole thing is down. But now there's enough of a turn that the dragon has turned, and now there's the opportunity. When the dragon turns, he can go from long orientation to short orientation. Dragon rolls up again. Now notice how the dragon is getting, it's long and then smaller, 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 smaller. That means when it finally does break out of this, you get that big burst again. And then mentally tired. Now, Woj, we talked about this again before. I need you looking at the dragon. That thing is just, and it's leaving the VWAP behind, but we're not making big bank on a big directional move. We shouldn't be scratching on a day with that kind of a decisive move. Like if anything, we should be getting short in here, smashing that instead of here. We should be getting short here instead of here. Our stop and reverse was slow there. When this rolls over, you got to get short here, not here. Those things start adding up. Gave back too much on this one. This one, you got long here, exited here, but didn't get short until here. So there's the move. This thing is down, up, and down. So when you feel those, you got to get short right in there, not down here. And this one should be short. So we got to do more with the emphasizing the direction, the dragon. If anything, make the bars lighter and the dragon darker so you can see the dragon more than you see the bars. Visual cortex. So Paul, this is where my comment about felt price had collapsed too far by this time, can't go down further. Well, when you take a range stat and hang it off there, you say, oh yeah, it can make that move easily. Good scratch, good re-entry, good effort. Now, I got to get that. Short here, or at least when it crosses the Bollinger Band mean, or when it leaves the river. But feel how good that PSAR is as the trend. And here's a consolidation, but the dragon is still pointing down. When he falls out of that, there's an entry. All the way down to here. That whole move, we should be smashing that. All right, that's everything we got for today. Appreciate your patience.